Have you ever wondered how you transfer an application running on VMware vSphere over to a Kubernetes cluster? Especially if there's data attached. How do you actually do that and prevent as much downtime as you can? My name is Michael Mattsson. I'm a tech marketing engineer with Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and I'm going to show you today how you lift and transform applications running on traditional infrastructure over to Kubernetes. The end state we want to get to is running MariaDB with all the data from the source environment into a container running on Kubernetes. The first step to do this is to set up an HPE Storage Array that is compatible with the HPE CSI driver for Kubernetes. That will include HPE Alletra, Alletra 6000, 9000, Nimble Storage, and Primera. Also, the first operation we want to do here, because there's data attached to this virtual machine that is backing the MariaDB database, right? And that is running in some sort of VMFS data store. And it is the content of that application that we're interested in moving over to the new HPE Storage Array. So the data basically sits in the volume on VMware. And the first operation here, we're going to use a technology from VMware called VMware Storage vMotion. And we're going to first create a vVol data store in HPE Storage Array, and then we're going to transfer the content over to the array. Once we have the content residing on the HPE Storage Array, which have now been attached to the existing VMware vSphere cluster, all the content in the volume is now present and still serving the old environment. But once we have the content on the HPE Storage Array, we can create a couple of cool things on it, right? So we can create snapshots, right? I'm doing a little camera here. And with those snapshots, we can then create zero copy clones of that particular data. And once we have installed the HPE CSI driver into the Kubernetes cluster, there's a string of events that will take place, right? So the storage admin needs to talk to the Kubernetes admin that, yeah, there is a volume that's going through this transformation process. We need to move the application over to the Kubernetes cluster. And the first step in this iteration is that the snapshots of the volume that we've taken on the HPE Storage Array, those can be imported as clone, as a persistent volume that can be served up to the CSI driver, and then later on being brought up with the MariaDB database. And this is usually done a couple of times to make sure that you get the right data in the right mount path and stuff like that, like very application-specific things that matter a lot to the DBAs, because they need the right file system in the right place and such. So they will probably perform this a couple of times. And while we've been doing this, there has been no disruption whatsoever to the production application running in your traditional infrastructure, because the storage vMotion does not induce any downtime whatsoever. There might be latency spikes here and there, but at the end of the day, there won't be any downtime for the application so far. And creating snapshot and creating zero copy clones on the HPE Storage Array does not eat up any resources or disrupt any application workflow. Depending if you migrated from a foreign old storage system, you might actually even get better performance when you moved your volume over to HPE Storage. And the next step, once you've kind of completed this a couple of times, what you want to do is, when you have perfected everything, you need to shut down the source VM in the legacy vSphere environment. And this volume here is now the old volume that we transfer. It doesn't even exist in the traditional infrastructure anymore, because it's all over here. And once you've removed the VM and detached the vVol from your existing infrastructure, you have a volume that sits that is offline on the HPE storage volume. And at this point in time, you're now capable of issuing an import volume by name into the CSI driver, Kubernetes cluster where the CSI driver is running, and then attach that to reach the final state of the application, right? And at this point, there has been, you've shut down the application, you've done the import, and you brought up the application. We are talking minutes of downtime here, less than minutes even, right? So once the application is up and running, because you've tested this workflow multiple times before you actually perform the final cutover. So you obviously need to do a few DNS changes and such to make sure that your application clients can talk to the database properly when it comes up in a new location. But once you have the application transferred over to your HPE storage system, you can reap all the benefits of the HPE CSI driver and in the deep integration with all the capabilities that are available on the HPE storage platform. And if you want to learn more about these very advanced use cases with the HPE storage and the HPE CSI driver, please check out hpe.com/storage/containers. Talk to you soon.